Welcome into Late Night with John Alden and Dustin Shooty. Or maybe it's not late night. Maybe you're listening to this on your way to work in the morning. In that case, it doesn't pertain to you. This is a late night edition of Out of Touch. No Mitchell Page with us. I believe he's got some, actually, I don't know exactly what it is he's taking care of. I just remember he had something to take care of. So we'll just leave it at that. Sometimes the details aren't even that important, right, Dustin?
That's right. We don't need to know the details. All we need to know is this is Out of Touch after dark.
Out of Touch after dark.
Or in the middle of the afternoon, depending on when you're listening.
Things can get a little loopy whenever you record late at night, too. Me and Mitchell have had a couple of late night episodes where, like, I remember one time back, I don't even know if this was back in the fall. I believe it was close to a year ago, though, at this point. I came into different intro music. I was just feeling some type of way, and I'm like, I'm playing a different freaking song tonight. We'll just see how this goes. Just change the vibes up a little bit.
That's what happens. We can fly by the seat of our pants anytime we want. We can mix it up, change it up, do whatever we want. This is our show. Although you have to be in charge of doing that because Mitchell and I have no idea how to do any of it. So,
well, let's just get right into it. First of all, I guess I'll go and show the shirt. I'm wearing my Dunder Mifflin shirt for a specific reason tonight. My wife and some friends and I went to the Office trivia night at a local place here where we live in Mount Washington called Gallant Fox. And it's been a pretty regular thing that we do, not every Tuesday night, but us and some friends, we make it maybe every other week we go do this trivia night. And this week it just happened to be the Office. And I was letting Dustin know that before we got rolling here, and we were going to discuss some of the questions I got wrong and see if you could maybe get some of them right, because I'm guessing I didn't get a chance to ask you too much because I didn't want to let you know what the questions were.
Yes.
Are you fairly familiar with The Office, I'm assuming?
Yes, I would say I'm very familiar with The Office. Okay. I watch it.
I know you're a big Friends guy.
I'm a big Friends guy. I love The Office. I would say I probably know the earlier seasons a lot better than I know the later seasons, though.
Okay, one of the categories from tonight was season 1. Like, most of the categories were based on season, not all of them, but one of the categories was for season 1. And I guess I'm going to go and ask you a question that I did get right, and that was, what was the nickname that Roy gave to Jim during the basketball episode? He compared Jim to a famous basketball player.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird. Larry Legend, he calls him.
Yep.
There you go. Good call right there. I'm going to go ahead and give you one from season 1 that I got incorrect. And that was, what color was the Jell-O that was used whenever Jim pranked Dwight by putting his stapler in Jell-O?
Was it yellow?
It was yellow, and I guessed green. That was one of those where I was just, it was a shot in the dark. If you don't remember a fine detail like that, then those are
the costly things you miss on trivia night. Those are the
and you're already one better than me of the 4 we got wrong. There was one, the team that ended up winning this entire thing got everything correct, and that was a total of 40 points. I believe we finished with, 30 or something along those lines. But some of that involves wagering. We only missed, I think, 4 or 5 total questions altogether. But when you're down, you got to risk it all to get back into it. So that's what happens sometimes. All right, so this was, I'll go and give you the other 2 before I give you the final one, because we also got the final question wrong, and obviously that's meant to be really hard. But the first one that we got wrong was, had to do with Kevin Malone, and the question was something along the lines of, Kevin is usually really bad at math, but not when it comes to this particular thing. And what would that be? Pie. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was gambling. Do you remember in the episode where they do the March Madness gambling or something like that?
Yes, that would be a good guess if you didn't know. But I remember them because that was when they were on the bus taking a trip.
Doing a little field trip or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man, that came to you quick. I couldn't think of that one. Good call, though.
Yeah, thanks.
Moving on. So this is another one so some of these are multiple choice, by the way, and this one was multiple choice. And it was, what animal did Dwight put in Holly's car whenever, I don't remember what the scenario was, but he put an animal in her car, I guess, whenever she was about ready to leave, some sort of like initiation type thing. Yep. And I don't remember all the choices, but we couldn't decide between, go ahead and tell me what you think it is.
There's 2 that I think it might, I'm almost positive it was a raccoon.
It was a raccoon.
Yeah,
I thought it was a badger.
Oh no, I thought it was either I would have my second guess would have been a possum, but I thought it was a raccoon.
If there was a way for me to transfer this shirt and put it through the screen onto you, I think you deserve to wear the shirt more than I do.
I could have been on your team and we could have won.
You could have. We would have been undefeated. And here's the last one, though. We would have had to get this right, though, because the team that won did get everything correct, including this. And this is a very specific question, I feel like. Maybe it comes right to the top of your head, and in that case, you're just the most genius human being in the history of The Office. So I'll just go and give it to you right now. In the episode where Jim impersonates Dwight, he obviously there's a part where he's talking to the camera and he's talking about how much everything costs. That's a part of his outfit. What is the total that he says everything cost at the very end of that little window?
Oh man,
silence is deafening.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
And this is one we just had to guess, and we were close. You were close. You know, close doesn't get you anything in the trivia sometimes.
I know it was really cheap.
It was cheap.
I want to say it was like $6.83 or something like that.
So no, it was $11.
$11. Okay.
We I was thinking along the same lines as you, where I thought there was a cents amount involved. But we ended up just guessing 14 because someone was like, no, it's a whole number. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll go with that. But either way, it was still incorrect. But apparently, I mean, if you can remember that, I mean, it is a fairly iconic. I mean, that scene also has the moment where they do identity theft is not a gym or not a joke, Jim.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Well, I would have helped you on 3 of the 4 questions.
You would have helped us get second place and first place get gift cards.
Nice.
So
okay.
We would have gotten second, I guess. So, you know, I'm glad you knew those. I didn't realize how big of a fan of The Office you were.
Oh, yeah. I love The Office. It's one of those that I can, even more than Friends, I can just put it on and watch it, and it makes me laugh every time. Like I said, the later seasons, after Michael's gone, I don't like those episodes as much because I think Andy Bernard's character is terrible.
What do you think about Robert California? And by the way, if you're not a fan of The Office, I apologize for this opening segment, but you know, The Office is fun to talk about sometimes.
Just fast forward to the next, like the 12-minute mark or something. See if we're still talking about it.
I love the Robert California character, though.
A little too much for me. I liked him in pieces, but I did not like him as much as he was on the show.
I think that part of the reason I like him even more now than I did watching it because you've heard me and Mitchell talk about The Blacklist. He's the lead character in The Blacklist. And honestly, a lot of Robert California and Raymond Reddington, I was forgetting his real name in The Blacklist for some reason, and Raymond Reddington have a lot of similar personality traits, whereas they're both very sarcastic and they kind of just say whatever the hell they want to. And I remember creating a theory when I first started watching The Blacklist because the timeline from when he did his 1 season on The Office to him joining The Blacklist, or beginning The Blacklist, I should say, is, I believe, like almost back to back. And so my theory was that Robert California and Raymond Reddington were the same person with a different name, because at the end of his time on The Office, he tells him his name's Bob Kazamakis instead of Robert California, which, you know, if he's just this person who wants to be a bunch of different personas, which he doesn't necessarily do in The Blacklist a whole lot, then, you know, it could check out.
I don't know. There was something about his character that just, I don't know if it wasn't believable or I don't know what it is. There's something that turned me off because it felt like everybody in The Office, I felt like they had a level of believability, and that might sound weird for Dwight, but I feel like if you've ever worked in an office with a lot of people, you've worked with someone similar to Dwight, maybe not quite that far, but enough that you can draw comparisons. Whereas Robert California is I thought it was just someone, I felt like they pushed that too hard. I know a lot of people did like him in that show. He was fine in pieces. There were some funny moments, but like to have him on, but I also didn't like Will Ferrell in The Office. Like I thought his character was way too out there as well.
And he was on there for a very short time. It's almost like they knew like this is not going to work, that type of thing. But the Robert California character, I think it works because it does kind of fit the office stereotype of like the very just intimidating boss figure that nobody really knows how to have a real conversation with.
That's
I
fair.
can see that kind of fitting that stereotype.
Yeah, I could see that too. I guess that's a good comparison.
Give me, maybe you don't have anything off the top of your head, but if you were going to ask me just a random piece of office trivia to see if you could stump me, what would you give me?
I don't have anything off the top of my head. I'm not good at coming up with questions like that.
Yeah.
But there is some stuff like Abby listens to this. I don't. I've heard a lot of good reviews about it. The Office Ladies podcast. Have you ever listened to that?
I've heard of it, and I've never dove into. I'm very picky with my podcasts.
Okay.
And I don't, for some reason, think that would tickle my fancy, as some might say.
I would be interested. This is as we speak on a podcast that we hope people are listening to.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we don't tickle your fancy, and you've already tuned out.
Do you have trouble? So some people, I have friends who can listen to a podcast and like do their work, do their job, or like focus, like while they're trying to focus on something, can listen to like I have to be doing something very mindless or like focused in, or else I won't retain any of it. So a lot of the Smartless podcast I've listened to with like Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett. It's just like it doesn't matter if you miss one of the questions they have for the celebrity guest that they have on, right? But if there's like a history podcast or like The Office, there's stuff like that I'm like, I'd want to hear the whole thing, and I'm going to have to make sure I'm free for 50 minutes to be able to listen to it.
Yeah. With podcasts, I feel like nowadays you're listening to them for one or two reasons. You're either listening to something that's complete nonsense like this, and it's just almost background noise for you, or you're listening to it specifically for information. And in those scenarios, it almost has to be like a work assignment. You have to be totally locked in.
Yeah.
You have to be doing nothing else. And it's more of a learning experience rather than something you just have on in the background.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't learn while I'm doing, I have trouble learning while I'm paying attention. So
yeah,
it's hard for me to learn when I'm not. Anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there.
So apparently there's Friends trivia. I know you're a big Friends guy. There's Friends trivia coming up.
Yes,
the same place in a few weeks. And have you participated in a few of those you mentioned, I think?
Yes. Yep. We just did one a few weeks ago here in St. Louis. We don't know what place we got. We don't know how many we missed, how many we got right, but it was tough. There were like some of them you had to know the lyrics to some of Phoebe's songs.
Smelly Cat. I know that.
Yeah, that wasn't even one. That wasn't even one of them.
That's probably the really common one.
Yeah, there were some out there questions, but here's a tip. If Dustin's acquaintance is listening, he'll know what I'm about to say, because we did one in Kokomo back last summer, and the final question, we were in the running to win the whole thing until the final question, and the final question was, what were the 7 layers in Rachel's Thanksgiving trifle?
Ooh, that's
so you should look that up before. Yes, it was tough. And you should look that up before you go, because if that's the final question, that sounds similar to like the time on Jim's watch, or the amount it costs to replicate Dwight's outfit.
And I had done an office trivia about 5 years ago, and we won that time around. It was with some friends in college. And I was trying to remember what the final question was for that, and we got it right. I can't remember, but one thing I do remember, the prize for it, I don't think I have it in here. I have it somewhere, but it was a framed photo of some sort of quote. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but oh well, it's neither here nor there, I guess. I'm trying to get to a comment from our friend Tanis, because he is a loyal listener of ours, and he had an off-topic question that he wanted us to get into on a future episode. And maybe this is something we could dive into. So we've talked a lot about Nicolas Cage the past couple of weeks, in recent episodes. So Tanis asked us, what's the strangest role for a popular actor?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that from Tanis. By the way, quick interjection here. We need to read our comments more frequently. feel
we do. I read them usually the day that I post them, and then I forget about them.
That's fair.
We record next.
I'm going to send you a text next week that says we should read more of these. Okay, so I feel like the first one that immediately pops into my head, but this probably isn't the best answer, I'd have to think about it, was Will Ferrell in Stranger Than Fiction. Did you ever see that?
Was that one of his early roles?
No, I think it was after he had done like Anchorman and what's the other Talladega Nights and some of those like goofier movies. Yeah. Old school. I think it was after that. So it was like weird to see Will Ferrell in like this more serious type of role. Here's another good one. This one just popped into my head. Jim Carrey in 23.
I don't think I've seen 23.
It's weird and it's odd, but it's even weirder when you like Jim Carrey is the lead character and he's like this. It's been so long. It was college when I saw it, and that was a lot longer ago for me than it was for you. But he is like this villainous character who's like obsessed. I don't even know if villainous is the right word. He becomes obsessed with the number 23, and it's like driving him insane. And you might think that's a okay role for Jim Carrey because he can do like all those, different voices.
Jim Carrey is very versatile compared to the average actor.
But it's very weird to see him versatile in like a serious, almost like possessed villainous type of role.
This is going to be a weird. Basically, this is me asking for EJ to take my man card away, I guess, by reference I'm about to make. And I can't think of this guy's name. And that might, here's what I'm going to go. I'll go and preface this. This is an actor who I believe is known. I don't know if when I say known, I don't know if this is like his most prominent role, but my wife loves this show that this actor is in. And he's also, here we go, Scott Patterson. So the first thing you know who Scott Patterson is, Dustin? It's kind of a deep cut, maybe.
I'm about to look him
Scott
up,
Patterson, I first saw him in one of the Saw movies. And we've talked about the Saw movies a couple of times on the show before. But I didn't know that he is apparently most well known for his role in Gilmore Girls, the TV show. He is the primary love interest for one of the main female actresses in the show Gilmore Girls that my wife loves.
Yes. Okay.
So you see a picture of him now?
Yes. But when you said Gilmore Girls, yes, I know. Wow. I should not have been that excited when I mentioned that. Gilmore Girls, what's that?
This is the time of year when most of the Gilmore Girls lovers restart. They do their rewatch or they begin it or something like that.
I should not say I'm not a lover. I don't watch it. I've seen the series and I watched it all the way through one time.
I will say this. If you're married or if you're somebody who lives with a female in general, if you're in that type of environment and your wife likes that type of show, I will say this. It is very relaxing to get a cup of coffee and open up a window. Just if it's a nice day out, you can relax and enjoy that type of show because you don't have to like watch it to like know what's going on. Just take in the little subtle music that might be playing in the background. It's just it's not a favorite show. I've never seen it for the plot. I've sat and watched it when my wife sat down and watched it.
And you just chilled and drank coffee.
You just chill. Yeah, exactly. Apparently, it's weird that I drink coffee at all times of the day. I'm not drinking it right now.
No. That's not weird. It's weird. Well, it's weird that you can drink caffeinated coffee at any time of the day. But
maybe it's just, I'm sure there's going to be an age where I can't do it anymore. And there's already times where I regret it. Just it's like, for example, today, it didn't really affect me too bad, but I had 3 cups before 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And
no, that's not weird. I do that all the time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So normally I have 3 throughout the day, but they're all spread out. I'll have one first thing in the morning. My second one is usually after lunch. That might be weird. And then the third one is typically right as I'm starting my afternoon show at 3 o'clock in downtown Louisville.
Oh, no. I have 2 right first thing in the morning. 2 cups of coffee.
That's a lot.
It's usually guarantee.
Go ahead. I'm stepping on your.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say 2 a.m. that's a guarantee every day. 2 cups of coffee, and then depending on how much is left, there might be a third in the morning, or I wait until. A lot of times, what I do is I wait until after I'm done working out, and then eat my lunch and have either the rest of the caffeinated coffee, or if the caffeinated coffee's gone, make a half a pot of decaf, and we'll split that. And then I put like different things in it that my body needs after working out. But other than that,
the way that I've always reasoned, and again, this is probably the dumb way to do it, is that, I can have 3 a day, but the time of day doesn't really matter. But I have learned that if I don't stop by around 8 p.m., it's usually a mistake.
I see. I don't even know. The first cup is to like just wake me up. Like I need that energy boost. The rest of it is just because like I like coffee. It has nothing to do with like needing it. I just like it.
It's just wanting a warm beverage.
Yeah, even when it's 137 degrees outside, I want a hot cup of coffee.
And that's part of maybe that's why I don't. Maybe I should pay more attention to the time of year. Maybe it's the over drinking the coffee when it's 98 degrees and high humidity outside. Maybe that's a problem.
It could be a problem. What is, now that you're a big time coffee consumer, what is your favorite, if you're going to have a dessert or like a sweet snack or treat or something
with the coffee?
Yeah. What's your favorite to pair along with it?
This is an easy answer because the type of coffee that I've been drinking right now fits with exactly. It's almost like a kind of an extension of the dessert itself or with the treat itself. And I've been drinking brown sugar coffee. I love brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Okay. That's fair.
I might sound like a 12-year-old, but I feel like Pop-Tarts are for anybody.
Pop-Tarts are indeed for anybody. I'm not a big fan of the brown cinnamon sugar, though.
What's your, so real quick, I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite Pop-Tart? There's some weird Pop-Tart flavors out there.
There are.
I'm curious if you have a favorite that may be weird or not weird.
This is weird. I haven't had Pop-Tarts in forever. And now I kind of want one. I don't like the fruit-filled ones. So for me, s'mores or just the straight up chocolate chip ones.
Yeah, some of it can just be a little too much. And one thing I'm about ready to pull up here, I think these are real. I actually saw this the other day, and I know we're not quite at Thanksgiving. There's no way these are real. But apparently, somebody either created these, at least like the box for them, but apparently there is a Thanksgiving line of Pop-Tarts. Again, now that I even say it out loud, I don't think any of this is real.
Oh, a Thanksgiving line. Okay, let's hear what they are, though.
Yeah, so here we go. There's 4 of them. I wish Mitchell was on here for this because I feel like he could run with this as maybe more so than you and I. I'm going to give you these 4 flavors, and I'm curious if you think you would like any of these or if they're all horrible. But the first one is, so I'm getting a blurry screen. I'm going to sit here and dance around this for hopefully no longer than like 8 seconds while it reloads.
So while it reloads, I'm going to tell you my favorite, since this is kind of related to Thanksgiving. My favorite dessert with a cup of coffee is pecan pie.
Pecan pie, okay.
Little whipped cream, pecan pie. It's like the perfect sweet, bitter.
And that's tough. So that's your favorite dessert with a cup of coffee. Okay. And that's something you can't really, that's more seasonal, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, once it gets to be fall, I'll make them from October until Christmas. I love pecan pie. I put a little bourbon in there. Spice it up a little bit.
If you're watching on YouTube, I may have a very perplexed face. And I don't know if, for some reason, I'm starting to think these were actually real, but I'm also a very gullible human being. But either way, here are the 4 flavors that are now loaded for me. The first one, Dustin, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, let's just preface this by saying, let's pretend that they are real.
We are pretending that they are real.
Let's assume they're not, but pretend they are.
Okay. Because this could be disgusting. I'll go ahead and say this right now. I wouldn't like any of these. And Dustin, maybe you would. We'll just give it a shot. First up is frosted marshmallow sweet potato.
Ooh.
And the color of it, so you have a kind of a orangish tint crust with the white icing on top and then some yellowish sprinkled bits on the top.
Not as bad as I thought we were going to start with. I'll say that. I don't think I would like that, but I don't think that might be up somebody's alley.
Yeah, especially with the marshmallow already kind of adds some sweetness to it, and then you have sweet potato. So like it's trying to be a Pop-Tart, even if it's not really meant to be a Pop-Tart.
That's candied yams, is what that is.
Okay.
I mean, do you know what that? You know that reference? You from the South? You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a photo. I didn't know that it was. There are two different names for it, though.
You never heard of candied yams?
I didn't know that candied yams and marshmallow sweet potato were the same thing.
Yeah, it's just when you cook the marshmallow on top of the sweet potatoes.
Which makes sense. So, all right, I think that's probably the mildest of the four. So, moving forward, we've got frosted green bean casserole. You've got
there is no chance that's real. Yeah, no.
You got a traditional Pop-Tart crust with, again, the white icing, and then it looks like a checkerboard of a green drizzle across the other side.
I love green bean casserole, though. I do love a green bean casserole.
Gosh, imagine putting that into a Pop-Tart jelly. That just...
yeah.
That's like pizza-flavored chips. I don't get how they do that, you know?
Have you ever tried pizza-flavored chips, though?
No, because it just doesn't make sense to me.
They are good.
We don't need pizza chips. Just eat pizza.
We don't need them, but you should try them sometime. They're really good, John. Have you read the pizza stuffed combos?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, you are missing out. Next road trip, just get you a bag. just get you a bag.
All right, two more of these. We have the Pop-Tarts roast turkey with cranberry frosting.
Nope. That's also not real. I was thinking... Well, I'll let you get to the fourth one.
Real quick, the design of it is just the regular crust with a solid, I guess, cranberry color for the icing on top, and that's it.
Yep.
And then the final one, it appears to be the only frosting-less one, and it's this is so gross. Savory stuffing.
Yeah.
Almost wish we would have saved this for a Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
This is very out of place in September.
I can't wait. Well, you know what? People maybe they'll listen to this during Thanksgiving.
I'll TikTok this during September.
There we go. We can also revisit it at a later time. True. I thought perhaps when you stumbled across this, it was going to be like pumpkin pie, pecan pie.
And there are some, I do know they do seasonal flavors, but not along this, line of thinking.
I was thinking I could have seen a cranberry sauce one. I could have, like that sweet potato marshmallow could have been real. Like that's just
it even looks real. That's the most real looking one of the design on the box.
That one is within the realm of possibility. The others are just absurd.
Imagine if they did a poll and, I'm sure that's the one that would easily win, but.
For sure. But they
didn't even mean to go down that road. I don't know how we got there, but we were talking about the coffee and I mentioned Pop-Tarts. That's how we got there.
Do you remember, this is kind of on the same level, when they, and by they, I think I mean Lay's, created a biscuits and gravy potato chip? Do you remember when they used to do?
I've never tried it.
I never did either. But do you remember they used to do like contests, and you would have to write in like what should be the next chip flavor, and if you did, you like won $50,000 or whatever it was.
Yes.
Man, they came up with some interesting ones.
Did you ever send in any of them?
Yes.
Do you remember any of your ideas? I'm pulling up some of the contest winners.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what. If I ever, because I think there was one that was chicken and waffles flavored, if I remember right.
That sounds correct. So I'm pulling up. There's 26, I believe. It looks like
there were 26 winners.
Yeah, or maybe or maybe so. I think they had finalists, and maybe there were different winners from each one. I'll breeze through some of these, and if any of them stand out to you, let me know.
Yeah,
bacon mac and cheese, wavy mango salsa, kettle cooked wasabi ginger.
Yes,
that was the winner in 2014.
I remember that one because I was like, "There's no way that's going to be good." Okay, continue.
And then cappuccino. So by the way, there's a final four for each year. That's how this happened. But cappuccino, that's odd.
Yeah, I don't think that would be good.
That could be a Pop-Tart flavor.
That could be a Pop-Tart flavor. There you go. This is what the contest should be: Pop-Tart or potato chip.
So that was 2014. 2015, there was Southern Biscuits and Gravy, the one you were talking about, Greektown Gyro or Gyro. How do you say that? Gyro.
As I stutter, Gyro. I think it's
New York Reuben and West Coast truffle fries. I'm surprised that one didn't win. What I'm going to have you do, unless you know, I'm having you guess which one was the winner as I go through these.
I feel like I remember West Coast truffle fries, but that wasn't the winner.
No, the winner was the Southern Biscuits and Gravy that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that wasn't. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
So next, this is in 2016, and this one does not. Oh yes, so all spoiler alert, all of these lost in 2016. Fiery roasted habanero, Korean barbecue, smoked Gouda and chive, and kettle cooked olive oil and herbs. Why'd they all lose?
All those lost?
Yeah, like did they just give up and say, you know what, we don't need to do this anymore? Who knows? Yeah, that's I'm trying to see if they have any more where they do the winners.
I really wish I could remember what I had sent in, because that would be very helpful.
So there's a person who ranked them all, and they said their favorite one, and here we go. You talked about loving pizza flavored chips. Deep dish pizza was this person's favorite customized Lay's flavor.
But I don't know how you would differentiate between deep dish and regular pizza.
That's a good point. Like
on a potato chip.
Yeah, because the deep dish is supposed to be reflective of the type of crust that makes up the pizza.
Right. I mean, I guess maybe just a stronger marinara flavor, but those
because it is typically saucier. It's almost like lasagna flavored chip at that point.
I think I submitted like a Nashville hot chicken or something along those lines, like some sort of spicy chicken potato chip flavor.
I just don't food, and I may have talked about this on. I know I've talked about it on other shows, maybe not so much on here. I'm picky when it comes to like. I like to have everything separate. Like I'm not necessarily picky the way that I was like when I was a kid. I'll try a whole lot of different things. I love seafood. Give me any type of seafood and I'll more than likely try it, with the exception of oysters. I don't think I could ever get myself to try oysters.
I don't like
so
oysters,
slimy.
No. Yep.
And it's just not. I mean, I've had mussels, which are kind of the same thing, I guess. And I don't dislike mussels, but something about this, and I don't even want to be gross, but the way you gotta slurp the oyster, it's just not. I don't think I can get past that.
Yeah, nope. I'm not a big fan of those either. So I'm with you on that,
Dustin. I don't put sauce on anything. Have I ever confessed that to you before?
You put we're gonna have to slow way down.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll break this down. But like, so if
you don't put sauce on anything, so let me ask you a series of questions.
Of course, go ahead. Drill me.
Does this include condiments? Like, do you put things on
primarily with condiments?
You don't use condiments.
Yeah, correct. Keep asking questions.
Okay. So you're more of a dry rub than a wet sauce person.
That is true.
Okay. No dipping. You don't dip in sauces.
Do not dip anything. No ketchup. No mustard, no mayonnaise,
no hot sauce,
no hot sauce,
no barbecue sauce.
If I'm having like waffles or pancakes, no syrup.
No syrup.
No.
Hold
syrup.
On. Okay. How is this a textured thing? How is this possible? How do you eat pancakes with no syrup?
Dry as the Mojave, baby.
Oh, that sounds awful.
And I'm not really a huge. I mean, pancakes in general are fairly moist if they're done correctly. You don't. They're not. It's not like you're eating a saltine cracker, for example, as I've talked about.
That's true. You're not. I love sauces almost as much as I love the food. Now, this is what I will agree with you with. I think if you have, I'm going to use fried chicken as an example because it's the best one. If you have really good fried chicken, it does not need a sauce. You can put a sauce on it and it doesn't ruin it, but it does not need it.
Yeah.
And so
lot of one thing that always it doesn't bother me. It's just because I'm the weirdo who doesn't like sauce. But people who say they love Raising Cane's. Have you had Raising Cane's before? The chicken finger place?
Yeah, there is one right down the road, John. I'm well acquainted with the Raising Cane's.
People who say they go to Cane's for the sauce, I'm like, dude, you don't even need the sauce. Their chicken is so freaking delectable.
I love
without it, but people love the sauce. I mean, I get it.
Sauce in the fridge. I do. There's still a little cup of it because when the last time I got the 6-pack, whatever that's called,
because the Caniac combo.
Because I'm a glutton and absolutely smashed one of the sauces, and there's still one in there.
Well, I'm not a sauce dude, and I remember back in high school, whenever Cane's was really becoming popular, at least where we were, they were kind of popping up all over the place. People would argue Zaxby's versus Raising Cane's, and I was always in the camp of Raising Cane's. Neither one of them need the sauce, but again, that's just me. I'm the weirdo in that camp.
What happens if do you not use sauces or you don't like them? Because I have a follow-up.
Don't use them. And I'll even.
So my follow-up question to that is, if you order a burger plain, let's say it comes with ketchup, mustard on it, or mayo or something.
Hold it.
Are you sending it? No, I'm saying.
Oh, if it comes, yes. I'm going to be that guy that sends it back. Yes.
Wow.
I'm not going to be an a-hole about it. I'll just be like, hey, I didn't order this with ketchup or whatever it was supposed to not have.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Very weird. I guess I guess this is the root of this. Whenever I was younger, I had what's called tactile sensory disorder. And a lot of that I grew out of. Like I could not go to live sporting events because the buzzer noise would scare the hell out of me. And I just couldn't. It was one of those things that I just could not deal with. I couldn't place. Like I remember playing, it might have been like YMCA basketball at like 3 or 4 years old, but not being able to participate because I just, the sensory issue. And I don't remember at what age that didn't bother me anymore. I think my parents probably just started slowly trying to acclimate me to that type of stuff again. But the other side of that was food related for the most part. And so anything that was like soggy or, really anything that wasn't just a solid piece of food, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was not about that. With the kind of an exception is like spaghetti and pizza, things that were like sauce was like a part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So sauce is like fried chicken. The sauce isn't, well, I mean, I guess it can be, but, or a cheeseburger is not like cooked with, not cooked with it basically.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a weird little figment about me you didn't know until tonight.
I did not know that. That is insane. What about like honey? Or jam or peanut butter?
Well, it's funny. We can actually go back to Pop-Tarts with this. So like I wouldn't eat jam by itself, but like obviously Pop-Tarts have like the jam inside of it, but that doesn't bother me at all.
But you wouldn't put jam on a piece of toast?
Nope. Or peanut butter. Dustin's sitting here and he's like, man, John is such a fucking weirdo.
No, this is actually interesting to me. I don't know why this intrigues me so much, but the fact
I love it. We can go the rest of this podcast and dissect this as much as you want to.
I'm glad you went into it because the next question I was going to have was like, well, what about pasta? Like, can you eat pasta? But
no, I do like pasta. I mentioned spaghetti, and that's something
did.
Now, I will say, I will put very light amount of sauce on my pasta. I don't like it to be drenched in sauce. I'll take a light amount, put a little salt on it, that type of thing. So that's enough for me.
I make like a Cajun chicken pasta where you almost it depends what you do, but you can the noodles kind of absorb the sauce, so it's like cooked into it. Is that okay, or is that too saucy?
Cooked into it? See, I don't really know if I've ever even like had to like encountered that.
So there's like so imagine there's a pot of sauce of this Cajun chicken pasta sauce. Okay. It's a Cajun sauce, and I throw the spaghetti noodles in there. Or I think it's actually linguine, but whatever. Okay. You throw them in there, and then that's how they cook, and it absorbs it. So it's like a creamy pasta. There's still that sauce there, but it's also cooked into it. It would be the equivalent of like...
It's one of those things, like if I had a visual of it, I'd probably be able to give you a better answer.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, but I also can't picture what the final product looks like, if that makes sense.
It's not dripping with sauce. If you spun your fork around...
If it's part of... If it's all one thing, then it probably wouldn't bother me.
It is all one thing, yes. Okay, oh, wait, I have so many questions. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to ask. So let's say you have pasta. Pasta, I don't know why I said it like that.
Pasta.
Why you have pasta. Let's say you have pasta. You got garlic bread.
I'm not dipping the garlic bread in the pasta. I'm eating the garlic bread separate.
Wow. This applies also to nacho cheese, I suppose.
This applies to, I mean, we could go as far into this as you want. Anything.
Nacho cheese, chocolate
Just
sauce.
Give me the chips, man. I'm that, I don't even know if there's many guys like this, but I'm that guy that if we're at a Mexican restaurant and we're getting chips and queso, I'm just munching on the chips, man. Not dipping anything in the queso.
No queso, no salsa?
No, neither.
So bizarre. What is your life? How is this possible? Now,
I promise I'm not making any of this up.
I believe you. I will eat the occasional chip by itself because sometimes I just like the chips, or if I don't have salsa or queso available. But if I'm at a restaurant, I am hammering through the queso and salsa. Man,
there's another crazy layer of this I just remember from when I was a kid. So I don't really like ice cream in general. But here's what I used to do whenever my family would go out for ice cream. If I didn't want ice cream, you know what they would do? I feel so bad for them. This is probably one of the more embarrassing things that you could do if you're ordering something customary or, just different from a menu. My parents would order because I wanted part of the ice cream, and I'll explain what it is. At Dairy Queen, I would want the chocolate dipped cone without the ice cream. I just wanted to eat the chocolate dipped cone. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense, but I know what you're saying.
When I say it doesn't make sense, like
no, I know. Yes, I know.
It.
Yeah, okay. I can visualize what you're saying. It's just a chocolate dipped cone without ice cream.
With no ice cream.
Yeah, they just threw the ice cream cone right in the chocolate fudge.
The people in the drive-thru, multiple. I remember they would always say, "So you don't want any ice cream?" And they would have my dad or my mom, whoever, would just have to be like, "No ice cream." And then there was a point where we had come through frequently enough to this drive-thru to where I remember one time you could hear somebody in the background going, "Oh, these guys come here often." Like they were familiar with this order coming through.
It's that kid with the sensory issues who's coming through asking for a no ice cream cone dipped in the chocolate. Oh man, that is
weird kid. And a lot of that still sticks with me. I've 80% of the tactile sensory issues I've grown out of and just been able to develop myself away from it, I guess. But I was a weirdo, man.
This makes sense. Do you ever put cream in your coffee?
I have, but that has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
That's more so because I just like it black. But whenever I first tried coffee, and maybe tried isn't the best way, but whenever I first started to try to get into coffee, I should say, my wife was like, order this. It was actually Wendy's coffee, believe it or not. She said, get this. And she's like, order it the way that I do. And it was like 2 creams and 1 sugar or something like that. And it was fine. But the more that I drank coffee, I just realized I liked it without the extra stuff in it. It's not that I disliked it. I just preferred it black.
That's the same thing that happened to me. I started out drinking coffee when I was 24 maybe. And it started with one of those McDonald's basically like a milkshake type thing, like an ice cream sundae. It's so sweet. But then I graduated to like a caramel macchiato at Starbucks. And then I made coffee at home and just put some creamer in it. And then I got to the point where by probably like 4 years later, I was drinking coffee straight black.
Man.
Like maybe that took some, maybe it wasn't even that long. Maybe it was 2 years.
By the time I was married and we were both living together and we were making coffee regularly, that's when I was like, I don't have time for all this extra stuff. I
don't have the extra 7 seconds to dump in the creamer. I'm too busy.
Oh, man. I almost wish Mitchell was on here to hear some of the reactions. We almost need to bring the I think we need to get his thoughts on the tactile stuff in general whenever we're on next time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about some of this stuff because that is interesting to me. I'm not even like trying to make fun. It's just so I've never heard of somebody that doesn't use I obviously people don't like certain sauces or don't use certain sauces. I've never heard of somebody who doesn't use any sauce ever, no matter what.
And here's one more part of this too. And so I don't eat salads unless I have to, like if it's one of those things where it's part of the meal.
You're going to tell me
on the salad.
No dressing.
No dressing.
Okay, so that's less weird to me. I used to also eat salad with no dressing, but
okay.
I've graduated to where I will use ranch or Caesar. I'm trying to think if there's another one. I don't like vinaigrettes. But I think those are the only two. Yeah, those are the only two I think I'll ever use on a salad.
But when I revealed this on the afternoon show that I work on, and this was actually fairly new to me being on this show. I don't remember how it came up so early in me working with them, but the texters on the text line were calling me a psychopath. They were like, that is psychopathic behavior. That is completely out of the ordinary.
And I feel like because you live in Louisville.
Yes.
And in the South, like they obviously take a lot of pride in their food, but there's also a lot of pride in sauces in the South. So it's particularly barbecue sauces. So I'm guessing that is like as weird as people in the Midwest think it is. I bet it's even more foreign to Louisville and South.
I know I keep saying there's one more thing, but because I do keep thinking of different things that are commonalities.
Biscuits and gravy.
That's what I was getting into. No gravy. I'll go and say it deep in the microphone. I eat biscuits plain with no gravy, no jelly. I guess if you want to put butter on it, that's fine. But that's it.
No biscuits and gravy. No country fried steak with gravy.
Nope.
No gravy. No mashed potatoes and gravy.
No mashed potatoes really in general. I'll eat them if I have to. That's just a no. It feels weird in my mouth to me, man.
Is the most bizarre comment. What do you eat at Thanksgiving?
I will say it is funny that we're getting full circle with Thanksgiving stuff. Thanksgiving, in regards to the food, one of my least favorite holiday meals, just because there's not a lot of things I enjoy at Thanksgiving. I love turkey. Turkey's great.
Can I just tell you that I imagine like your family having this nice Thanksgiving dinner and then we have to get the chicken nuggets out for John?
No, that's not what we're doing. We're not getting the chicken nuggets out. We're not that. I just don't like all the extra stuff that goes on. They like I really just gravy with turkey too, right? That's the thing that people do. It's not so white gravy. It's whatever other brown gravy, right? That people put on turkey usually.
Yes. Turkey gravy. It's kind of a mix.
I'll eat anything if it's not gonna bleed into the other foods. That's just the long and short end of it, right?
So turkey, green bean casserole,
green beans, I guess. I don't even know if I've ever had green bean casserole. I mean, I know it's a thing, obviously. No. I can't lie. No mac and cheese.
Noodles? Oh, here's one.
Yes. Yeah, I like noodles.
Here's one. Okay, so like chicken and noodles with mashed potatoes.
Chicken and noodles with mashed. I don't know if I've ever even been offered that.
This may be an Indiana thing. I will fully admit, because when we grew up, that was a meal, like hunk of mashed potatoes, and then you get like those Amish egg noodles at the store. Cook them with chicken broth and chicken, There's probably just some water in there. It's so good. It is so much. It is so many carbs, but it is so delicious. Okay. Well, then clearly you're not a fan of that. I'm trying to think of what else is on.
Stuffing's fine. That's more of like, if they do it right, it's fine. I mean, I'll eat it regardless, but it's not like something that I just enjoy in general. I'd never like just make stuffing because I want it. It's just like, if they make it good, it's fine.
I think that's one of the things that's just once a year. Like stuffing, maybe also at Christmas. So like twice, maybe.
I mean, other than that, I guess you just name no cranberry sauce. We don't need to go down the road. We kind of think we already know the answer to everything here. Just give me the turkey and a couple of sides that are pretty generic, and I'm good.
Yeah, see, I got to have all the turkey, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese.
I almost like I'm going to regret posting this episode because, I mean, not that people who watch this don't already know all of this for the most part, especially if it's family, but I mean,
this is. I feel like the last couple times, which has been you and me, we've talked a lot about food.
That's true. Last episode, we had the fast food episode with Mitchell.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how
I don't know if you watched last week at all, but me and Mitchell got a little heady, as they say. We started talking about what it means to be a man and like the different definitions of what that is.
I have heard this.
What, real quick before we sign off, then, Dustin, what does it mean for you? What does it mean to be a man?
You're asking the wrong guy. I think EJ still hasn't given me my man card back.
That's right. That's true. Maybe
I don't think I can answer
the question on this.
Just I don't know. I don't even have a good make-believe answer for that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was not on my docket tonight, but you know what? That usually makes the most interesting topics of conversation.
Address anything that was on the topics?
The Pop-Tart thing I had written down, but I was intentionally trying to save that for Thanksgiving just because they were Thanksgiving flavors. But because we were talking Pop-Tarts, I was like, why not go ahead and bring this up now? But yeah, this was definitely not on there. But yeah, good, interesting stuff, I guess, right?
Yes, this was a good episode. This was fun. We learned a lot today, John.
Maybe each day someone needs to confess something very odd about themselves.
I was going to next. I usually, I feel like I confess a lot about myself. It's just not as detailed. And people don't usually have some questions. They're like, oh, okay, that's weird. Or, okay, that's cool. And then that's the end of it. There's a lot of avenues you can travel down when it comes to not eating sauces.
By the way, so we don't do the voice, we don't do the hotline necessarily every single episode, but I do want to pose two different questions, kind of. They're kind of the same thing, but kind of not. One, if you want to comment or ask anything in addition to what Dustin already asked about this, you are more than welcome to 502-830-9195, because I do know it is bizarre. But if you have something that, it doesn't have to be as bizarre as this, but if you have something about yourself that is interesting, that kind of fits along the same lines as, I'm not trying to say you're a psychopath. I know I mentioned that earlier, that some people said that about me. But if you have something that is just not what your typical human being might think would do, I would love to hear that too. Make me not feel like I'm on an island at 502-830-9195. Either one of those things I would appreciate. And if you don't have anything, I don't mind that as well. Feel free to leave a comment in the YouTube comments. I'll try to be better about doing more than just reading them the day that we post the episode and then forgetting about them when we record again the next week. So, any closing thoughts, Dustin, before we wrap up this episode?
No. I cannot. What about marinades? If I'm marinating,
that's fine. Marinades are fine.
Okay. I have nothing. I'm going to think of something. Try to think of something that is weird that I do, that we can pose a lot of questions, and you guys can grill me next week so we can even up the score a little bit here. But this was good. We had fun. This was a fun late night, out of touch after dark episode.
That's right. The weird things come out at night, right? I don't know if that fits along with this exactly, but maybe it does. But until next time, this has been another episode of Out of Touch, and we will talk to you then.